Welcome to G-Force Conversations. Today, I have the honor and privilege of interviewing David D. Archer from the British Virgin Islands. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, Britnie. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to hear from you. We have got a COVID-19 crisis all across the world, and I couldn't think of somebody better to interview than the author of Pioneering Greatness. I've watched you bring new things to the British Virgin Islands, completely open massive doors and change society as we know it. And I'm really excited to get your take on what the heck is going on right now. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background on David. David is an aggressive enthusiast and influencer whose life mission is to help build people, businesses, governments, and nations. His passion for human capital development has led him to speak throughout the globe in such places as Thailand, Budapest, USA, UK, India, and the Caribbean. As the author of the book, Pioneering Greatness, The Empowerment Experience, David's passion to see persons fulfill their God-given talents and gifts is his main purpose as a coach, strategist, author, and policy advisor to the governments. David also currently serves as the Deputy Governor for the British Virgin Islands. David, amazing. You are the king of helping people recognize their own greatness. I've seen you do it live. When people start to recognize this, how have you seen this affect their life?
Awesome, Britnie. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's great to converse with you and also your amazing viewers. When people recognize that they are great or recognize their overall greatness, they normally say, wow, I wish I knew this before. I wish I knew this when I was 18 or 21 or 46 or 99. The good thing about greatness is that it does not discriminate based on what age you are. At any time you can get it, you can realize it. But from time the persons realize that, they change. They work on a life mission of being better than they are right now, but really fulfilling some of their innate gifts and talents.
Right now is really an interesting time, I think, to be talking about recognizing your own greatness. And a lot of people are sitting at home, depressed, lonely, recalculating their life, thinking of things they've not thought of before. And quite honestly, a lot of people are really going through depression. So how can recognizing your own greatness help in times like this?
It is a very difficult time. I do recognize that people are struggling with maybe a next meal or possibly what might happen to their own business. I will say this with a great amount of positivity. The universe doesn't really understand good or bad. So we take this situation that we're in right now. To one person who might lose their job, who might not know what's next, they might be a little bit dismayed or not know what might be their next approach. To the business person or the hardware person, the person who might have a home delivery business, who are seeing more business than they've ever seen before, this COVID-19 thing, besides the fear, is really not that bad for business. So it's really about how we get ourselves in a frame of mind initially to first recognize we're going through an experience that we all have to recognize. Why am I going through this? And why is it happening to me at this time? And if you believe from the onset that you're great, then which part of my greatness should come out at this given time? Each situation comes down to how am I going to use the current environment that I'm in to make a better opportunity?
I think that's awesome. I actually just did a post and it was, look, nobody owes you anything. Nobody's going to bail you out. Nobody's here to just hand you anything. You got to go figure it out. And this is a time to be creative. So the G-Force Mastermind group that we are excited to have you as part of. Every week we're talking about what are the new opportunities. So I was excited to hear what are you seeing as opportunities. Some of the stuff that our members are doing. We just had somebody go almost 100 times from the first call to just a couple weeks later that they joined. They shifted their mind, just like what you're saying. They shifted it just so. They said, you know what? My woodworking business is shut down. I'm not allowed to operate. I lost all my contracts, and he can just sit at home and cry with his 4 kids and feel completely defeated. But he listened to that call and he said, you know what can I do just so? If this mode of income isn't going to work for me. What is going to work? And so just to be a force for good, that was his goal.
Yes.
He said, I could probably use my equipment and make a shield, a plastic face shield, and donate them to the hospital in my community. Well, he called him up. He made one. I mean, he like had to overcome all these odds because everybody wouldn't even give him the basics to make one, but he figured it out on his own. And he called them up. He's like, I want to donate 40 face masks. They transferred him to somebody else, and they kept transferring him, but he hung on. And then they said, actually, we will take that 40, but can we place an order for 10,000?
Okay.
And 15,000, 20,000. So he not only was able to help his community, he personally funded like everybody that was a worker in his community got one for free, but he ended up 15,000 orders in the first week or two. So he went 100 times in his business. So amazing.
And the same thing could happen for restaurants, for example.
Yeah.
Your diner might be closed. However, if certain communities allow home deliveries, not just to villages, but to governments for package of foods, workers that might be working during this period of time. Now you move from a business serving 35 clients in the morning to 100 persons in the morning. And it's just really, how do I see what is happening? Because the world is not going to stop. There's still going to be a need at all levels, regardless of disaster that we're currently in, regardless of what we're faced with. What is that need? How are people eating now? In my community, am I allowed to do home deliveries? Can I be certified through governments to provide different products, different services? What is happening now that I can rethink my business plan, survive in this space that we're in right now, but even do better because it's such a great and urgent emergency?
Right. So what he's doing, and I want you to pay attention to this, listeners, he is asking himself the right questions. You could ask yourself, why am I such a failure? Why does this always happen to me? Why is this I'm going to get sick. Why am I going to get sick? How am I going to get out of being sick? What happens when I die? You're going to ask yourself the questions to spiral yourself into a negative, horrible tornado of ugliness. Or you can say, what do I have that could work? How can I help? What is working? How can I do something that's working? Like everything he just said, genius. So I love that. I love that. So that was going to be my next question to you is, what should people be focusing on right now? So I want you to explain kind of your mode of operating through believing that you're great and how that affects what we should be focusing on right now.
Awesome. So the reality of the matter is this situation is not pretty. We don't know. But what we do know is enough to know what it's about. We know it's not great. So here's what we have to do on a daily basis. We don't need to consume our every single living moment with what's happening with COVID-19. What's the world going to do? What's my village going to do? So what I have done, and persons that I work with and my families and my friends, I've said, I'm going to give you 3 times a day for 5 minutes to get as much COVID-19 information into your system. So that's in the morning after you've gotten up. If you've exercised, you've celebrated, you've danced, you can get some. 5 minutes. After you're finished, you've had lunch, you get 5 more minutes. And then even before you go to bed, you have 5 more minutes. So that's 15 minutes in a day. That's all you need. Whatever you need to know in between that space of time, people will find a way to get it to you. You will know, because we operate not on the conscious mind, we operate on the subconscious mind. So if every living moment of your day, you're hearing something bad, you're hearing what's not going right, you're hearing who's died, unfortunately, chances are you're going to become what you think. So it's going to be very, very difficult to plan for new businesses. It's going to be very difficult to bring your families together. So that's why in a case like this, you have to be purposefully driven about your greatness. Just like you would exercise every morning, you have to exercise the brain. So for example, when I wake up, I turn on my most amazing motivational music. It can be from rock and roll to rap to whatever makes me feel good.
Give me your top 3 songs you listen to, or I'm
Oh,
gonna ask you. I need to know what they are.
Oh, so I'll give you one, right? So there's I like the Eye of the Tiger. That's one.
Yes, classic.
I like the New York State of Mind. That's with Jay-Z and Alicia Keys, and a lot of other different things. That's a little bit more aggressive now in terms of the rap era. But really, it's about that beat. It's about the motivation that gets you going. And once I've done that, I do what's called the 25 yes exercise. So I get in the quiet place and I close my mind. Yes, 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 yes. So I take it to 25. I do that in the morning, in the afternoon.
Why would you do that? What does that do?
So here's what happens. If you close your eyes right now and you say no, it's no, no. It's going to stop your brain from trying to move. It's going to stop you from being amazing. So that's what's happening every minute of the day when you hear something about COVID-19. So your body and your brain and your psyche is saying, I'm not in a state of being great. I just want to hear bad things. And your brain will seek those things out. So you have to purposefully, just like you would do sit-ups and squats and run, you have to purposefully now engage your mind in something amazing, because it's not normal time. It's hearing more negativity than it did 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 5 months ago. So you have to actually fight against that with, I am great. I am awesome. Using the right language. Yes, yes, yes. Is it going to become difficult? Are you going to become stressed when you hear of a family member that probably passed away, or a family member that's not doing well? Yes. But you have to purposefully repurpose how you think, how you engage, the language you use, not just yourself, but those around you. You got to tell your wife, you got to tell your husband, you got to tell your children, today, we're going to talk about why the Archer family is so amazing, why the Chris's are so amazing. So we practice a state of positivity because we're living in a state of negativity. Because Britnie, if we do not combat that, it becomes very, very difficult to see an opportunity right in front of you. Can you imagine if you live your life like that for 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months? Yeah. It's going to become virtually impossible for you to break that cycle and live in your overall greatness. You will miss opportunities in front of you because you're really telling your brain, I don't want to be great right now. I want to feel sorry right now. I want to feel concerned right now, which is not bad. It's going to tear at you. It will tear at you more than you always do.
You know, I've experienced several disasters now. And I would most liken, I mean, it's considered a great disaster, a world recession disaster. And I think people who are more used to hurricanes or have recently dealt with things, what I'm seeing, and I'm going to ask you this next, what I'm seeing is the people who have experienced disasters more frequently, like Bahamas, BVI, blah, blah, they're kind of categorizing this. Okay, we've got our resiliency planning, yes, where we're going to try to lock our borders, protect. And then we've got relief. Okay, whoever is affected, because nobody's immune, how do we treat them and help them? And then again, quarantine that situation so it doesn't expand. And then there's recovery. And then there's redevelopment. How can we recover as fast as we possibly can from this? And then how can we be stronger on the other side of this? So I would love to hear your opinion in those two categories, not just for BVI, but globally. How can this become a good thing that happened to the world? What is possible for this to possibly turn into a good thing globally to recovery and redevelopment?
Well, I mean, first of all, unless you've done it, or you've been through it, or you plan for it, it's going to be shocking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You recognize that persons who have been through hurricanes or tornadoes or floods, they have a certain sense of, we've been in the bad place before, and here's how we came out of it. We came out of it with first having plans. That's the preparedness. once the event happened, we execute those particular plans. And once it's actually passed, we think about how we can become better than we were when we started. The quicker we recognize that, we're able the next time around or even tomorrow to just look at things differently with a different sense of lenses and a more humane and lovely part of understanding the universe and its people.
Well, you know, I came back to BVI after Irma hit in 2017, and I had the privilege of interviewing almost everybody. I didn't get to interview you, but you were a hero on the scene, absolute hero. One of the common themes that I heard right after the storm over and over again, I actually was kind of jealous that I didn't get to experience it, was that the storm was a great equalizer. It didn't matter how wealthy you were, didn't matter what color, didn't matter what family you were from, if you were male or female, it didn't matter. None of that mattered. It just mattered that you were alive. And so I pray that through this, the world can be less racist, less closed, less whatever it is, and we can share information, best practices. How can we accelerate recovery through this? What's working? So I really hope that, because that's one of the things that I live for, and I know that you live for, which is, you know, you're coaching nations and governments on how to really raise the level, how to be great. And that includes accelerating recovery. And that's one of the reasons we get along. We're passionate about the same stuff. So I love that. What other opportunities do you think are taking place right now that most people are missing? Or what are the blessings in disguise?
You will make more money in this era that you're in right now by providing a service to individuals. The people that will get you out of the situation that we're in, it's not going to be robots. It won't be technology. It will be brains, love, and dedication. Because no matter how great a robot might be or technology might be, it takes people to get on the ground, to hold someone else, to call to say, how are you doing during this period of time? Can I check on you? So for me, it's really understanding that the human being is really the number one resource, regardless of how far we advance in technology, regardless of how far we think it's not necessary anymore, because we're seeing now that people really are the drivers of what will get us through, or who will get us through this particular phase. So that's just one. I just want to recognize that's the reason why all of the business models that you follow that always put people first, they sustain better over time than the models that will put technology, finances, and stuff first. It always sustains. So when you invest in your people in the long run, you will always find that your business will be more successful than if you put more emphasis in technology or other aspects. And this is showing it right now. That's just how I look at it.
Oh, it's great. Do you have any tips for entrepreneurs? How can we be investing in our people, not just right now, because whatever, it's a crazy, weird circumstance. So I'd love some tips for right now, especially because we're all working virtually. How do we invest in our people now and on a regular basis to, you know, help them understand their greatness?
Spend a lot of time in research and development.
Okay.
Yes. However, spend even more time in understanding what the human being wants, not just now, but also in the future.
That's good. That's really good. Okay. So you can do that for your customers and your employees.
And your employees.
I like that.
That's great. So I have this rather quickly. When I work with persons in my organizations, I tell them all the time, why are you here? And they'll be, oh, because I want to be amazing. I want to be great. I said, I don't think you're telling the truth. I said, no, you're probably here because you just want a paycheck. Say it. It's okay. You're probably here because you couldn't find another job anywhere else. But what matters is, what are you going to do while you're here?
Mm.
What is your contribution? Most employers spend more time asking their employees to do for them than they do asking the employees, what can I do for you? So the employee that's engaged, regardless of where they are in your business, is going to give you more than the one that's disengaged. So before you say to your employee, here's a job description about your role, you say, how can I help you to become greater than you are right now?
Ooh, that sounds hard to do.
Well, actually, it's rather easy. It looks like this, Britnie. You said, hi, Britnie, how are you doing?
Good.
You've been with this company. All right, you've been with this company for 5 years. I love what you're doing. You add into the growth of the organization. But today, I just want to find out, what can we do for you? Where are you going to be in 5 years?
Well, then I would probably think of things I want to learn or new things I want to try in the company. Yeah. Okay. That's a great question. I love practical. That's good.
You might say, well, actually, I love this job, but I really want to fly. So right away, you might know a buddy or a friend or an associate that has a flight school. This person's coming to work every single day. So rather than giving them a $2 raise or a $10 raise, you give them a flight lesson. So you invest in the person so that they invest in you, because you know what happens. I mean, I have this glass of water right here. If I continue to drink and drink and drink and I drink from that water, it's going to become empty, right?
Yeah.
So you even though you're paying persons for working with you, that's not why they're there. They're really there for satisfaction. But you have to figure out what that satisfaction is for them. But you just have to ask them. Invest in people's greatness, and they will help you fulfill yours.
I love it.
Ask people to add towards your greatness, and they will lose theirs, and you too will lose yours. That's how I look at it, because you cannot be great all by yourself.
Okay, so you can ask them, but you've got to be doing it both ways, is what you're saying.
Both ways.
I love it. This is so good. I love the practical. This is great. Okay, so one of my favorite reads is this book during this time. This is The Empowerment Experience, and I begged you to give me a copy of it because my other one wasn't around anywhere near here. And I was like, please give me this before any lockdowns. I need to be able to read this. So this is great on how to keep my mind right. And again, it's about what you focus on. I'm limiting the news. I gotta know certain things just to navigate and plan. My thing I do, I probably listen to 3 or 4 YouTube videos a day while I'm getting ready, while I'm running. I promise, every single day. And I share my favorite quotes. I don't care. I love that crap. I love finding amazing overcomers and listening to how they process information. I don't care if it sounds nerdy. I need their processes if I want to be great. You know what? Who else made it through a recession? Freaking Uber did. You know?
Yeah.
If it can become Uber, then I can come up with something.
Yes.
If Airbnb can come out of that, then what can I do? I don't have to be Airbnb, but I can be something. If this thing survived, then there's a case study that says we can become great during times of great unknowns, chaos, and fear. It's now that leadership rises.
We've heard of the great speakers, or Tony Robbins, whoever. We've heard that they've been talking about how to stay in a constant mindset of greatness. Now we get to live it.
Yes, we do. Oh my gosh, I literally was writing this morning. God said, I've prepared you for this. All the horrible stuff you've been through the last 10 years makes this easier to overcome. And so and I'm going to ask you your best advice in a second. My best experience sharing is, even though this looks awful, look at literally like where you are right now. Are you safe? Are you okay? As long as you're not in immediate danger, you don't need to lose your mind.
Yes.
If you're not in immediate danger, then I want you to sit and be and ask yourself, what else have I overcome in my life? Yeah. What did I think and spend all this time being afraid and worrying? What did I think I couldn't overcome, and then I did? And then remember, this too shall pass. What do I want to write down about how I dealt with this situation in the writing of the story of my life? What do I want to write down of how I responded to this? How was I a leader to my family? How was I a leader to my community? How was I a leader on Instagram? Whatever the heck your platform is, whatever your sphere of influence, how can you be a leader right now? And almost play like life in reverse and find a way to be a force for good like that. And I want to hear from you. What is your experience you want to share with people as a last question on this call?
I really need people to understand that we're placed on this amazing planet to be great. And really, greatness will come in many different shapes and forms, but you have to first ask yourself the question, why am I here? What is my contribution meant to be for this amazing world? And ask yourself that question over and over and over. You're going to get the right answer just about every time. The only time you ignore that answer is when you consult with someone else about that answer, and they will change your mind towards something else. People who are noted as being great, other people around them always think, I think they're a little bit insane. Do you really want to have a device where the entire world can be at your fingertips? Really? Do you really want to fly in an airplane? Think about it. So understand that your greatness and your realization of greatness starts with you and the universe and the grand architect of the universe. That's where it starts. Whenever you get that answer, write it down and work towards it. And then say, how do I get to fulfill that? And sometimes, Britnie, you have to be passionately quiet about where you're going. Because when you're openly excited about where you're going, it can create the wrong energy around you. So be passionately quiet about where you're going, but aggressive about how you're trying to get there. I've said a lot except to say we're all great, we're all amazing, we all have special talents, and the next great person is you, and you, especially during this space of time. Who will be who will invent the next gadget to make it easier for generations to come? Who will create the next technology or the human care device that will make this easier for patients? Who will be the person to have the right energy and the right words to inspire nations who are sitting and listening and waiting right now for words of encouragement?
Right.
That's how I see it, Britnie.
Oh, good. So good. So good. Well, thank you so much, David. Everybody, where can they get this book? Where can they follow you?
Oh, at David D. Archer Jr. And that's on Twitter, that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook, at David D. Archer Jr. Awesome. Just send me a message. I'll make myself available to chat and just talk about how great you are, especially during this time, because we need to replicate positivity, especially during the space of COVID-19.
Wow. Well, that is a huge honor. And y'all better take them up on that, because that's a huge, huge, huge privilege. David, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your encouragement, your empowerment. I have so many new ideas. I'm so glad I recorded this, because I'm going to go write them all down and start executing immediately. You are great, and I am honored to have you on the show.
Thank you, Britnie. Thanks for all that you're doing to create the right platforms, inspiring people, creating hope, especially during this space of time, and what you've done in the past. Thank you very, very much for the opportunity.